And once again, everybody, thank you for joining here. A few more people are still showing up, so we're going to give everybody just a few more minutes, and we will begin the webinar very shortly. I wanted to thank you for joining our webinar today on IBM Planning Analytics Local. We can go ahead and get things started here. So head into our first slide and do some introductions. Like I said, my name is Kenny Jarrell. I am the Director of Business Development for Tech Dynamics. Also on the phone with me with Tech Dynamics is Carlos Alvarado. And Carlos, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carlos Alvarado, and I am a solutions architect working with Tech Dynamics. And I was at IBM, recently left IBM. I was there for a few years. And prior to that, I spent several years in consulting, implementing TM1 and all the other analytics solutions. So thank you for your time today.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carlos. So wanted to go over our agenda here very quickly, show you what we're going to be discussing today. Just did the introductions, going to give you a brief introduction of who Tech Dynamics is and what we offer as an IBM Premier Partner. Then we're going to get right into it with the Planning Analytics Local and what's new with TM1. And then we're actually going to give you a live demo to show you some of the features so that you can see it in person. And then towards the end, we'll have a question and answer. So if you could please, we ask that you hold your questions till the end, and we'll definitely reserve some time to make sure that we answer anything you may need. So who are we with Tech Dynamics? Head to the next slide here. We are a premier IBM business partner. We are certified to resell as well as consult in the whole BI and IM portfolio stack. That includes Cognos BI, predictive analytics, performance management, TM1, as well as big data. All of our consultants have 10+ years of experience, so we are all senior and have been around for a while to answer any questions that you have come up with in the past. And we also sponsor a number of user groups. So I know there's people from different areas around there today, but our corporate office is just located outside of Philadelphia in Wayne, Pennsylvania. And then we host a group there, we host a New York group, and then a Raleigh-Durham user group as well. And then what are the advantages of Tech Dynamics? We're trusted experts in this industry. We have hundreds of successful implementations of Cognos, data warehousing, Netezza. Like I said, all of our consultants are senior, and we build solutions on a world-class IBM platform that we're going to be showing you here today. So that's who Tech Dynamics is, and I know want to get into the heart of the planning analytics today. So the next slide, I will turn over to Carlos, and he will be able to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you, Kenny. So thanks for everyone for joining today and this afternoon. Let me just to kind of the layout. I want to go through some slides and kind of set the stage initially about what Planning Analytics Local is really, and what it includes and what doesn't include, and all the good features that are coming out. I will say, let me preface this, having been an IBM recently, and I was there for a few years, I've been using Planning Analytics, the new interface and all the good features. I've been testing it with clients and things like that for about a year or so. And I'm happy that in those clients that were on the IBM cloud. So I'm so happy and excited that now the PA or Planning Analytics Local on-prem is being released in the next few weeks. On or about December 15th or so. So that's something that I'm really eager about, because I think now all the customers can certainly benefit from that as well. So with that, let me start with the numbers, right? Strength in numbers, as we call it. So one of the takeaways here, I won't go through all of this, but it's really the innovation that's been spent on this. In what I will show today, it is really a testament to that. It's for many years, TM1 has had a lot of different interfaces, and many, customers use it in many different ways. But now to be able to have a unified interface that can bridge all of that together and everything funneling through that, I think that's really what it speaks about here in terms of just the innovation part of it and the investment that IBM is making on that. Okay. Now, As I said, the cloud on IBM Cloud Planning Analytics has been around for about a year or even before that. But now with the local release coming out in a couple of weeks, so now it's being brought to the clients that have TM1 on their premises, and as I said, I think it's going to be very beneficial for you. Now, and the other point on this slide is the fact that if you have seen or even are using Watson Analytics, or if you have upgraded Cognos BI to Cognos Analytics 11, then you will see a very familiar phase as far as the user experience and how all of those components and all of those the three solutions here on the bottom are pretty much aligned and integrated. So that's something to point out in terms of where IBM has gone and continues to go into aligning everything under the same platform, if you will. Okay. Now, you can throw some terms here and there in terms of transformative, right? It's a game changer, and I'm probably going to use that term quite a bit, because the ability to not only have your standard cube views or your web sheets, but to change that into a self-service authoring tool without having BI, if you don't need to, and being able to do analysis and dashboards and metrics, all to a single web canvas, that's a game changer. Okay. So in applying the calculations on the fly, and we'll go through more details on those areas, but really it's the change on that. So the ability to kind of go faster, plan the way you want to, and add the visuals that often has been missed, and I think that those are the big takeaways here. Okay. Now, let's get a little bit into details, and I got a few more slides, and we'll go right on to a live demo I like to do for you. Okay. Workspace is the new interface. Then we have PAX, or Planning Analytics for Excel, so it's the new add-in for that. TM1 Web is still there. It's been improved, and let me cover that in a minute. And also from the server side, there's been some improvements and some changes there as well. So on the Workspace, again, that's the new unified interface. So the self-service, we talked about that already. The ad hoc calculations that you can do on the fly, add one without having to go into Architect and do things manually. You can just do them right on the fly, right on the same interface. And of course, add-in, for those that may have used or may have seen a few years ago, Concert, that was one of the interfaces that was put out there. And it had some of the social components, such as chat, conversations, and things of that nature. So that has been brought in onto this as well, to still, the maximizing the engagement, the experience, and certainly the chat and conversations is there. And of course, mobility, right? Being able to not only to consume the data, right, but also write back right on the iPad if you needed to, okay? And of course, going into, Planning Analytics for Excel, big change, right? And for those that may have heard about Cafe not being fully compliant with perspectives and how to, some of the challenges there, well, that's been fixed. Now, what I've been told, in the way IBM is kind of approaching this, is saying, hey, it's about 85, 90%, fully compliant and compatibility with perspectives. And that's, depending on how complex some of the reports are, and you could run into some of those small challenges there, but nonetheless, IBM's message on that is about 85 to 90% compatible. But the big thing here is active forms, right? For a while, Cafe was not supporting that. Now with Planning Analytics for Excel, the dynamic reports, as it's being called now, it really is being able to take those active form reports and perspectives and being able to consume those right into the new add-in for Excel. Okay, and let's not forget, right, with PAX or the Excel add-in, you got the WAN friendly, right? No Citrix to go through, no remote desktop, connection to get into Excel. It's a locally installed add-in on your Microsoft Office Excel, and you do it that way. Okay. So TM1 Web is still there. I mean, we know that a lot of customers out there that are still, using TM1 Web. So one of the things that they did with that, and they're doing with this new release, is that they're aligning that same interface that I talked about, where the Workspace interface, even Cognos Analytics or even Watson Analytics, kind of aligning all of that together. So it's good that they're doing that. There's some components here around web sheet loading and iPad supporting and formatting, so all of those have been enhanced and just improved in TM1 Web. Now, on the TM1 server, there's one takeaway out of all of them. I don't have to go through all of them. Hierarchies, hierarchies, hierarchies. Okay, that's another game changer, right? And I talk about. I'm not going to set it up a little bit, get you guys excited, but it is a game changer because of virtual dimensions. Okay, virtual attributes. So I'll cover this a little bit more, but it's a big change. Okay. Okay, so headliners. Okay, it's all about experience. Okay, TM1, and I've been a user of TM1. I've been a consultant on TM1. I've been a sales architect and engineer, more recently at IBM. I user experience had been one of those things that needed to be improved, and we got this now. Workspace, as I mentioned, the planning analytics for Excel, and now with the advanced analytics and hierarchies. Well, the ability to have now smaller cubes, less dimensions, do attribute analysis on that, on-the-fly analysis, because you have a lot less, dimensions and more like virtual dimensions, and of course the integration between Workspace and the architect and all the other components that TM1 has. Okay. So here, TM1 Web, TM1 Applications, for those that may be using that, Server Explorer, if you have a console, if you have Operations Console, all of that becoming Workspace. Okay, that's really what the transformation plan is and has been. Okay, and the perspective side of it going into planning analytics for Excel. Okay, just a quick slide on that. Now, the new phase, right? I talked about this new phase, and I won't go through all of these, but it's the richness that come with it, right? The ability to have your grid, the ability to have your your cube view, and also have a map in this particular case, and also discover, right? When you have thousands of GL accounts and you're just looking for, let's say, travel account, just type it in. You just type it up and say, travel. Give me every result that has travel in there, rather than kind of going down the line and trying to figure out, just hundreds, if not thousands of lines. And the ability to save a lot of these and share them, right, with colleagues and coworkers, and communicate that through conversations, through chats. And so all of that really being brought all together. Okay. So won't go too much to this one. It's the the chart display, very rich. Sharing folders. Here's a big one: personal sandbox comparison. So being able to put it side by side and see what's changed between one and the other. Okay, that's something that I wanted to point out as well. Okay. Now, here's one example around chat, around conversations. When you're dealing with a there's a chart here. You have the cube on the left, and it's presented in the chart, and you have conversations going on the right. So just an example on how that would go. Okay. Again, the mobility part of that, not only to consume it, but also write back to it and make changes to it, and still in the same look and feel as you would have it on your desktop, and that's a huge change too. Okay. Integration with Excel. For those that have not used Cafe, and now with Planning Analytics for Excel, is a drag and drop feel. You got the ribbon, you got the toolbar, just like you would have, I guess, in perspective as well. But it's really about dragging and dropping, and I will go through some quick exercises on that, and you know, we can talk more about it after. Okay. So just the Excel add-in still in here. It's the ability to, you know, still work within Excel like you would have, but you know, but a lot easier from the user experience side of things. But not only that, but also publish. A lot easier to publish now a report right onto the web. Okay, whether it's TM1 Web or in the case of where we're going with this, it's really Workspace. So publishing that out, whether it's an active form report and putting, you know, just pushing it out to the web for people to consume that. Okay. Different types of reports in Excel. You know, you can do cross tabs, you can do exploration, you can do dynamics, and, you know, active forms and things like that. So you really have all of the abilities to do what you need to do all within Excel. But the ease of use in this, it's what changes quite a bit in some of the capabilities as well, as I mentioned. Okay, TM1 Web. As I mentioned to you, it's been redesigned. It's got the same look and feel around, you know, how it aligns with all the other components. But the big one here is the relational data access that you can have now within TM1 Web. And you know, some as I also mentioned, is, you know, the conditional formatting and being able to kind of do those things as well, a lot easier that way. Okay. Now, I left this for last before we go into the demo. This is hierarchies and the ability to get deeper into this. So turning attributes into virtual dimensions. This is what it is. Okay. So I was on a call earlier today, and I was speaking with someone, and one of their customers went through, they have been testing it through the alpha stage, and once they apply this new virtual dimensions feature, their performance in memory, let's just say RAM performance, cut down by 50%. Now, I can't confirm that, or, I mean, but that's the message that one test that was done in one particular client. So it just gives you a bit of a sense or the potential benefits here, right? In terms of having less cubes, less dimensions in those cubes, and the ability to have those virtual dimensions helping you through your reporting, you know, and even when you can apply it in different ways. I mean, whether it's versions, whether it's your organizational hierarchy. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing that. So flexibility with this, I think the biggest takeaway, two takeaways from all of this, it's got to be the workspace interface and this, and the hierarchies, that the virtual dimensions for the hierarchies that have been introduced. Okay. So with that, I want to go right into the demo. I want to make sure we have enough time to kind of cover all the things that I like to cover. So before that, I usually like to kind of set the stage on this as well. So what we want to do, what I like to do, is go through a CFO dashboard. Okay, let's go through that, and you know, all within the Planning Analytics environment. So let's go through that. Let's go through some planning examples, and whether it's revenue and operating expenses, some analysis around that. Maybe we can build something quick. If we have time for that, and then of course do an Excel report or a couple of those reports, so we can show you, the process through that. Okay. So again, as Kenny said, we'll try to. I know we have it's not a questions. Save them, write them down, send them to the chat. We have Kenny, kind of monitoring that. So we can get to the questions, and of course, as we go through this, if there are any follow-ups, you can contact Kenny or myself, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to go right on to. I'm going to start off with. Let me go right onto the interface. Okay. Let me kind of walk through a little bit around this. Okay. So here is Planning Analytics Workspace. Okay. So for those that are using Cognos 11 or Cognos Analytics, as I said, or for those that have used or have been using Watson Analytics, this is going to look pretty close. Okay. Look and feel, the color schema, and all of those, and that was built for that, right? To be able to toggle between one and the other, and being able to be, one unified user experience. That's really what the goal is here, and how. So you have the reporting aspect. You can go directly into Cognos Analytics or Cognos 11 and Cognos BI, and go directly from here. So you really, one place you can go to different. From here you can go wherever you need to go. Okay. So you have shared and personal folders. So it's kind of like folder type of layout. You can attach. We can create. You can share. Various different objects and different outputs and different books. Whether it's related to HR or finance or IT. I mean, you get the point. How you can really secure this, right? Of course, there's the users involved here, so you apply the users to the right folders, to the right buckets, and you secure it that way. And you still have your TM1 architect security being applied, just like you would do that as well. So it really is, just allowing you to organize yourself a lot better, a lot easier that way. Okay. So we're going to go right on to this content, and within this content I have books. Okay, think about books as even an Excel book, right? We have multiple tabs. So I can go on to, and let's start with the CFO. As I mentioned, I like to start with that. Let that load up a couple of seconds. Okay, so here's all around. This is all TM1 data. Okay, it was just brought in. It was created to kind of highlight some things. We have some widgets on top. Okay, but it's interactive, right? So all of the TM1 data is sitting right here, like you would see, right? You have all of your applications and your cubes and your views and all of that. And and as I said, it's interactive. So let's say I want to change the budget to actuals. Okay. So maybe let me bring this a little bit smaller so you can see that. So it's interactive, so everything else changes. So they're synced up, so they're synchronized, right? So again, I can go back and put it in budget, okay? Or I can go and change this to cost of sales, okay? Now you wonder, well, how do these objects on the bottom kind of work out, right? So this is just a cube view, okay, turned into a visual, okay? What that means is that I just changed the visualization. So I started with this exploration, which is just a cube view, right? I have, and let me open it up a little bit more. So I have my rows and my column. I have all these dimensions, right? Just like you would have in TM1, right? So now I want to hide the dimensions, okay? Because I have some filters here. And I also want to change this, let's say, and is it smart enough to know, okay, you know what, this one's got some regions and states and such. So that means that, hey, it's going to give you the option for a map. Change that to a map, and there it is. So, you didn't ask someone to go write a report with a map output, right? You just changed the layout of your object to be a map rather than have it as a grid, okay? Same concept with this. I mean, you go into this, and then you're changing that based on the options you have, based on the data and the layout and the dimensions you have here. So it really does allow for not only the the TM1 users, the financial analysts, or but it really empowers also maybe the C-level, executives, where they too want to see some of this data, and want to see this in a much simpler way, easier to navigate, and you can lock it down, of course, so they don't have to you don't have to make a lot of changes here. But again, it just gives you the self-service component, right, aspect of what I've been talking about so far. Okay, so you have different ways of doing this too. You can throw in some metrics and some scorecarding and strategic plans, based on trigger points. Whether it's so you have some scorecarding, metrics cube built in TM1, and then you create a strategic plan with that, and kind of standing out what's working, what's not working. So again, you can publish all of this right onto this canvas. Okay. So as a CFO, you kind of go down the line. I don't need to go through all of these, but you get the point in terms of some of the other components that you can see here, and how you can mix it up. Whether it's some specific KPIs that you can do. You can see here, it really is history. So you can do different metrics the way you want those metrics to be, or you can change it back to to what it was, the exploration one, right, which is this. And again, you can change it back. Okay, so so again, these are different tabs. Okay, like as I said, like in Excel, you will go, and you just add whichever you want. So as a CFO, I got them all. They're already set for me. I'm not gonna make changes to that unless I really wanted to. But you could have the ability to actually bring more data onto this if the person wanted to. Okay. Now let's go back and kind of give it to you from a different angle. Okay, so let's go into revenue. Okay, now we can go into potentially do some different things here. Okay, so here we have my products, services, however it applies to your business, for the folks on the line or in the webinar. But again, you can synchronize all of this, right? Let's say you want to go into unit sales price. Okay, see how everything else kind of changes along. Okay, let's say you want to increase in the PCs. Maybe you want to do let's go into January and change that to $1,000. Let's see, not changing there. Let me see if I can do this. And change that to, should have changed that. I'm not sure why I didn't change, but you're able to kind of write back to this and seeing all the changes right there. Okay, same thing with the product unit forecast. Okay, so I can change it here. So let's say here's gross revenue, and I want to change this to sales price. Okay, and I want to change this to, let's say, 500. Let's see what else I've got here. Units. Let's see the units. Yeah, there it is. Let me do some big number here. Okay, see how that's changing, right? Everything else changed and followed through. And you can go all the way down to even assumptions, right? The things that you would go about, whether it's unit price, unit cost, even discounting. I mean, however it applies to your business, but have it all here, right? In a much easier way for the users to navigate through, to make changes to it, and also have the visuals right below in addition to the cube view. Okay. Now, this is something, as an example here, from the revenue perspective, right? When you have your statement on the left, okay, you have your charting on the right. You even have some targets, so some differences here, okay. Now, some of the things that you can do here as well is that, okay, you know what, I'm looking for So these are a lot of roll-ups, and I have a lot of accounts. I can expand this and have a lot of accounts. Okay, let's say that you are looking for travel. Okay, let's just think travel for a minute. So let me look at travel, and all I want to do is just look at Q1. Okay. So by doing that, I just changed completely the layout of just giving me travel and the accounts below travel, okay, and then just Q1. So this really does help, in terms of, looking at the information in the way you want it. And this is actually called, it's one of the coolest features that I like about this too, is the snap commands, right? That's what they call it. So it's not just one, one dimension. It really is. It's the intersection of whichever you want. So I could have added the year, I could have added the org, I could have added whatever I wanted, the version, maybe just budget version. So I could have done all of that if I really wanted to, just to get to the one number that I was looking for. Okay. So this is something that, it's going to help a lot, as you're dealing with, I got a customer, for example, they have, they have 10,000 projects, and they just spend a lot of time analyzing that, but it's just the time that is spent on that. It's, being able to do something like this and command it in this way, and being able to drill down to the right information, I think is very useful. Okay. Some of the other things here, and we'll get to the operating expense in a second, but just to kind of give you could also create new views. Okay, so let's say you have your, let's see, let's go right here. Let me just do just one sheet, blank one. And I can start bringing in whatever I want out of my objects, whatever cubes I have, whatever views and such. You can also bookmark them. So if you wanted to, you can go and say, let me right-click this, bookmark it. So imagine if you have a ton of, like I have here, I have a ton of objects here in cubes. So you can kind of bookmark those. Security also applies here. So if you don't want anyone to see those, then you can certainly apply that. So you can start bringing in. You can also create views. And by creating a view, it actually guides you through the process by dropping the right. So let's say, let me go over to the income statement. Okay. And then I can just create, here are all the dimensions, right? So I can just drag and drop. So let's say I want the account, that's an account, and I want the months. Let's just go with the months here. Okay. So now I have all the months. Now, by doing that, automatically it's going to give me all the dimensions, right? Because they're connected. But they're given to me as they're kind of hidden to the side, right? So I can get them out of here. Let's say organization, I can bring it out here, okay? Now I have the ability to just change this to, let's say, just a state here, but Maryland, okay? Now, one of the other things that you can see, this is how you can start building things yourself, right? So let's say that you want to have the organization as your main filter or slider, if you want to call it that. I can drag that, bring it out here. Okay, now I have it here as well. Now I can go here and say, you know what? I don't want people to see the dimensions. I just want them to hit the selector. So I can hide the dimensions. Okay, and I just have this, and I can just go and change this. Okay, but wait, that's not changing. Why? It's because they're not synchronized. So I can grab this, okay, and I can go and synchronize this. And I want to synchronize this with organization, okay, and that's it. So if I go and do East region, there it is. Now it's changing, right? So this is how you can start building, different layouts, different portals. And it didn't take me long, right? I just brought it in, and I think the biggest change or the biggest transition point is to get used to just grabbing it, dropping it, and making the changes, and get to the point where just what you want, whether it's just this grid or whether you want to change this to just a graph. And maybe I don't have a whole lot of options just given the way the layout is, but maybe this, right? And they have something like this. So again, it's the ability to take what you have, because it's already here, it's always been here, but being able to create something that is visual, that is a lot easier to use. Okay. Now, I want to get some time in for questions. So I'm about 2:37. So now, operating expense is the same concept. It's like everything else. So think about it. You got headcount, you have operations, you have, there's so many ways and applicable use cases you can go with this. Okay. For those that may be using contributor or application, right? And you have, you create the applications and you publish them with the hierarchies, right? And what I mean by that is something like this, where you have this. I don't know if anyone on the call uses TM1 applications, so you can also embed the TM1 applications right onto the same canvas. Okay, not a whole lot of people use this. They used it in the past, but if you do, and if you really need a workflow component onto this, and you're very satisfied with the way that's working in the TM1 applications, you can embed it just the same way. So you can go here, open this up, just like you would do it in your existing deployment, the way you have it, and then there it is. You can have that. Okay. So again, it's allowing you to embed that also into this, and what I know, at least what I've been told, is that this capability and the workflow capability is going to be fully brought in onto Workspace eventually. Of course, I don't have a date on that, but in the meantime, if customers really do have this need to have workflow included here, then this is the best way I have found to be able to still get this, to you and your users. Okay. So let's go into operations. Let's see what I have here. This is a good one to share. Again, another way, right? So the sky's the limit in terms of how you want to approach this and how you want to, have the different layouts and the charts, and that's up to you how you want to do this. But you have some of what this is, right? And you are able to kind of do some of these players, right? When you go and everything changes. So very slick, very modern, especially for those end users that are just looking to kind of look at the data in different ways. Okay. And I don't have to play that. I can just go to one and change it as well, and everything else changes, right? So different use cases. You have line item detail and operating expenses. You have some face costs. Again, I'm not going to go through all the different use cases, as I mentioned, but it's the ability to combine the data and the cubes with this. One other point that I wanted to make here is, let me see if I have income statement here. This may be a good one. Okay. So let's say that you have a ton of, like in this particular case, I have a ton of cubes and objects here, right? But maybe I want to look for view OpEx. Okay. Now, so I'm besides what I did in snap command within the cube or view, and it just kind of said travel Q1. Now I'm searching through, and this goes back to my original point earlier in the presentation, where you can use natural language to be able to kind of search through your data, right? And I just said view OpEx, anything that references that, right? And it's going to give me different options, whether it's this one, whether it's this one, whichever it is applicable, right? And I get to choose that. This is very handy when you have a lot of objects, right? And a lot of views for that matter, right? And how you are searching through that, it just gets a little complicated. It gets time consuming. Not complicated, maybe just time consuming. But again, you're able to do those searches not only down to the cube level, down to the view level, but also across the server. You know, just the whole thing, and just being able to get the right information. Okay. Now, so I've done that. So I've gone through, you know, the interface here. You know, here's what you collect. You know, I told you can save some of these, right, and share those. You know, here's the other option for the chats, right, and then you can start, you know, chatting, and whoever is attached to this view would get notifications around that. So all of those components are certainly here. Okay. The other part too is about sharing, right? Downloading them, sending them the link, or emailing all of this. Okay. So now this is the interaction and all of this, right? So we'll get to the Excel part. Just, you know, you can use Excel and do that, but here's giving you the opportunity to do that and doing it that way. Okay. Now, going back to this. So again, before I get to the Excel part of this, you know, it's the ability to go into one unified environment and really apply it in the different cases in your business, right? In different departments and such, and being able to bring all the objects necessary and serve your C-level, you know, C-suite, as well as, you know, your end users, right? People in the field inputting information. So all of it all into one single, you know, one single place that you can go to. Okay. Now, what I like to do is I like to go to Excel. Okay. So I'm going to delete this one so I can show you how to do it just from scratch. So here it is, right? You have your IBM Cognos. You know, you're probably used to seeing perspectives there too. You see now that it's no longer there. Now, you know, you have the ability to connect, you know, to different, you know, cubes. You still need to sign in. Okay, and you pick and choose whichever is the one you want to do. I got them here. Okay, so here it is, right? First thing, you can create just a list report, just like you probably used to in Cognos BI. But, you know, I'm just going to take the OPEX report view, and I'm just going to bring it over. Okay. Now we have this information, right? So it just flows in a lot faster than whatever be in perspectives, right? And it's just really giving you all of the dimensions here. Now, you can do a few things here. Initially, it's just going to give you one option. You can replace the members, okay? So let's just say I want to do this three, maybe just those two, excuse me, wrong one. So just those two, okay, and I think it's the default one. Let's do that. All right. So now you have that drop down. Okay. So I just selected 2. You can select 5, whatever it is that you selected. So you have that interaction, right? You can publish this right onto the web, right onto the workspace, or have that as, and I'll do that in a minute. But you really have the ability to do that. I mean, you can write back here as well, right? There's nothing stopping you from doing that. I'm changing, you know, meals to $30,000. Okay. I'll just do that. Commit all. Okay. That didn't quite work. Well, it did change here, so it's 30,000 here. So again, it's the ability to do that. Now, this is one way of doing it, right? You're doing a list, you know, a list report in this fashion, you know, interactive. You can, you know, add and you know, replace or take out different dimension elements as you wanted to, you know, and have the whichever, you know, cube view that you want. Now, other ways to do this is now create a cross-stack report. Okay, so you can do more interactive, you know, components here. Okay, so you can do this. Now you have it in a way that I can bring over, let's say, the versions right over my columns. Okay. And maybe I don't want all of those different options, so I want to edit a set, and I just want to bring in just those two. Say, okay, all right. So I quickly just created a report. I'm creating a report. I'm making it interactive. I can bring and nest as many dimensions as I want to. I could even add Excel, right? I mean, you used to I assume most of you, if not all of you, are TM1 users. In perspectives, you can add all the charting capabilities directly from from Excel. So you can add whatever you want here and still work within Excel. So for those that are a little more sophisticated, a little bit more advanced, there are other ways of doing this. For example, you can take this and you can do a formula view on this sheet. Okay, so now you can get the DBRWs, right? And you can actually do more things with it if you wanted to do that. Okay, so you have the option, right, to go as simple as possible, to do some interactive reports in that fashion, right? Or get deeper, more advanced if you're good at this, to still work within the DBRWs if you wanted to do that. Okay. Couple of things here. So let's publish one of these. Let me delete. I'm going to delete this one. And I have frozen up on me. And as I'm doing this, I encourage you to maybe put some questions, because I know we're coming down to the last 10 minutes of the presentation. I want to be mindful to your time as well. So as I'm doing this and publishing to the web, so I can show you that. Make sure you start coming, and let Kenny. Kenny's going to help me kind of compile the questions. All right. So here it is. Okay. I have this, and maybe I want to take. I want to look at 2 years, not just 2015, but also 2014. So I want to replace this. And I want to take, okay, so now I have 2 years on this, and I'm going to publish this, okay? So I'm going to publish this, I'm going to go to TM1, I'm going to go to SMART because that's what it is, and I'm going to put it in the reports, and I'm just going to call it webinar, okay? I'm going to publish that up, all right? Now I'm going to go right onto here, and I'm just going to create a new one. I'm just going to create a book for you. And I'm going to go onto the applications, reports, and I got a webinar here. And I'm bringing it in. Okay, and I still have the drop down, whatever I made it to be. Okay, so this is what we're saying, right? We're talking about, full integration between Excel and the new interface. And the ability to combine also web sheets like this with, some of the charting, some of the visuals as well. So you can synchronize them as well. Okay. So it really does give you, hopefully it's giving you, good insight into what this new release is out, right? And also, the date that I've received, at least it's on or about December 15th, give or take. So take that, for what it's worth. I mean, it will be in the next few weeks, and that's something that, that we're working on personally myself. It's looking into making sure that the customers like you are enabled to be able to kind of tackle this and be able to kind of be ready for this new interface. Should you want to bring that on board and that. So with that, I think, Kenny, I want to make sure we have a few minutes left.
Yep, Carlos, that was great. So I'm not sure, are you able to see the questions on the pull-down menu there? There's just a couple questions in there.
Let me get there. Give me a second. questions.
I could work with that. Okay. One of the questions is, what version of TM1 is this?
So this is going to be, it's 11th to my knowledge. They haven't really disclosed the final, version to my knowledge. They're going with Planning Analytics, and local. So, but it's not going to be 10 dot something. So, I heard 11 and 13 to make it higher, but either way, it's not 10. I can tell you that for sure.
Okay. And the next question, is this CAFE or PAX?
It is PAX. It is going to be, they're taking CAFE and then adding more to it, and then rebranded it to now to PAX, to Planning Analytics for itself.
Okay. Is this the full Cognos suite or just TM1?
This is the new TM1 release that includes all of the TM1 components plus more, and that is the biggest things would be Workspace and planning analytics for Excel, and of course the hierarchy, which is going to be a big changer, as I said.
Okay. And back to the is this CAFE or PAX? There's a follow-up. They look the same, so what is the difference?
They do look the same. I think the rebranding is a big part of that, just the name. But remember, CAFE did not support active forms, okay, for a long time. So the improvement on that is it does look very close to CAFE, but the back end integrations, especially the ability to have the prospective reports actually work in Planning Analytics for Excel, those are the big changes, although it may look a little bit close to what it was in CAFE.
Okay, great, thank you. Is it a separate download?
It's going to be a separate download. So that is something that, to my knowledge, and maybe Kenny, you can look into that if you know the answer. But customers are going to have the option to have the new release without Workspace, or with Workspace if the customer chooses. Okay, so but it will be a different download, an install process, and all of that, especially if the customers do opt to bring in Workspace onto their deployment.
Okay, great. And following up with that, I know the question was, when is it available? I believe you said probably mid-December, in that range. Is that correct?
I've heard for Windows it's before December 15th. For Linux is like on December 15th. So I personally, I'm just saying on or about December 15th for both platforms, both operating systems.
Okay. And I have heard the same thing, so we can certainly update everybody on the call to keep you up to date on when that comes out.
Yep. And so, for those on the call, if you're really thinking about this, in being prepared and ready, and to do this, let us know. I'll be more than happy. I recently left IBM, now working with Kenny and the rest of the team. I personally have worked with Workspace for the past year and 2 or 3 months. So, and I really like it. So it's one of those things that if we have questions or support around this, I'd be delighted to be able to help you through this, because it's new, right? And it's been changing quite a bit since I started using it. So I'll be happy to share my experience and support you in any way.
Great. And we don't have any other questions at this time, but I did want to remind everybody, I will make sure that we follow up with each of you and give you a copy of this presentation. The webinar is also recorded, so if you'd like a recording, I'm more than happy to make that available as well. But I'll give you maybe another minute or so if there's any other questions to see if they come through.
I think we're good.
Will we get the link in an email? Yes, I will make sure that I send you all the requested information here today, probably emailed no later than tomorrow. You can expect that.
Yeah, and if you want, so some of the things that I'm helping out to, just another point before we wrap up here, I've been providing some, we're going to talk about, you know, how to do this, but some workshops around this too, if this is of high interest and you're really thinking about, you know, deploying this internally and that. So there's various ways on how we can help you there.
Okay. And one other question just came in. Do you have to uninstall Cafe before installing PAX?
It's going to be yes. Yes. I would. Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah, because it's Cafe has been. I personally, you know, there's been new releases in Cafe. You know that I've at least for me as a former IBM, we used to get those. So every time I had to uninstall it and reinstall it.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
We are coming towards the top of the hour here. I believe that should be it. But like I said, I will be following up with each of you. And if there are additional questions, I'm more than happy to schedule a call with Carlos and myself to answer anything you may need. So wanted to thank you, Carlos. Really appreciate your time today and great job in showing that. And everyone else, thank you for your time today and hope you have a great day.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.